Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Professor Wong, you testified today that providing a pathway to citizenship for dreamers would significantly improve the American economy, right? A lot of us spend a lot of time in trying to do morally the right thing when it comes to dreamers and their families, but you're making an economic argument that doing so could potentially bring in billions of dollars in additional state and local tax revenue, create new jobs, and lead to a nearly $800 billion increase in our GDP. From those figures alone, the economic argument in favor of legalization, I think, is not just clear, but very compelling. However, as you may know, former President Trump has said that should he be elected to a second term, he would target millions of undocumented immigrants in a massive deportation campaign that, if successful, I can tell you would not just terrorize communities and lead to separation of families, ripping countless people from the only homes they've ever known, but I think you have the expertise to talk about what an economic impact such a massive deportation campaign would have on regional economies and our nation's economy. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you for the question. So Dreamers currently contribute an estimated $45 billion per year in gross domestic product. If we no longer had DACA and subjected Dreamers to that massive deportation force that you mentioned, then we would lose out on that economic benefit. But more to the point, DACA recipients and Dreamers more generally aren't just economic units. They are people who are embedded in our communities. And so in our most recent survey of DACA recipients, what we did was conduct a survey experiment to figure out what life without DACA would be like for DACA recipients. And so, as I mentioned earlier, approximately 58% would be less likely to pursue education without DACA. Approximately 63% would be less likely to pursue new educational opportunities. Importantly, 43% say they would be less likely to look for new jobs, and 42% would be less likely to report wage theft by their employers. And so not only would we lose the economic benefits that Dreamers currently bring to the economy, but we would put Dreamers further into the shadows to the point where even if they were being abused by their employers, they wouldn't report it.
Thank you. And just to underscore the significance of your response, I want to remind us all of the distinction again, because our colleagues on the other side of the aisle keep muddling the issue. I'm not talking about people who may be on their way to the southern border to seek asylum or anything else. We're talking about long-term current residents of the United States and their work and their contributions to the success of communities in our country. Now, as we've heard today, it's been more than 2 decades since the DREAM Act was first introduced. It was in 2001 that our chairman, Chairman Durbin, and the late Senator Orrin Hatch introduced the DREAM Act the first time. It's been bipartisan since day one. The chair's been fighting for it ever since, and during all this time, Dreamers have grown up. They've graduated high school, we've graduated from college, many from graduate school. They've started families, and those lucky enough to have the protections that come with DACA have established careers. They become doctors and nurses and teachers and police officers, like Officer Soto Rodriguez, who's here with us today. But in all that time, Dreamers have also lived with the uncertainty and fear because of their status, and Congress's failure year after year to deliver for them. I'd like to ask Ms. Pacheco, who you said in your testimony that you're here representing not only your own journey, which is a powerful and inspiring one in and of itself, but you also represent the hopes and aspirations of millions like you who have lived through the ups and downs of this fight for many, many years. Can you please tell us what these past few decades have been like for you and others who've been waiting and waiting and waiting far too long for protections and certainty?
Yes, thank you, Senator. Well, it's been 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats, in the last 20 years that we have seen this. And for me, the biggest devastation is seeing that Today, the average age of a DACA recipient is actually 29. They actually now have families. 1 in 10 of our scholars have a U.S. citizen child. They say that about 300,000 U.S. citizen children have a parent that has DACA. And for me, the thing that really hurts the most is seeing all the potential that the young people, many of them sitting in this room today, have and the desire to be able to contribute even more than they already are contributing to this country if they were to be allowed to be U.S. citizens.
Thank you. I have additional questions, but my time is up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Tillis.